In our newest work, we are going to be creating a poster, a political poster, in the style of Shepard Fairey. We're going to look at more of this online, but what we want to try to do is copy his style. And you can see in this poster as well as this poster, there's a few different things going on. You have a main character, you have some bold geometric lines, you have some flower iconography, you have some words, some statement words, even some newspaper articles in the back, some patterns, some basic lines, and then of course the color that shows up within the person. So in order to do this, you have to have an idea of what kind of political poster you want to make, who your main character is going to be, and then you have to find things that relate to that character. So I'm going to show you what we mean. We are going to have a list. This list includes the things that you must find first before you start your project. You're going to need some shapes, but you can make those in Photoshop. You're going to need some flower silhouettes. Just type this simply into Yahoo or Google and find some images, put them in your folder. If they're black and white, that's the best. So let's just add that in. Okay. Oops. Okay. And then what else? You need two icons that relate to your main character. What do I mean by this? Things like this. Or if you were doing something about gun violence, you might have, these are some gun icons. You can type in whatever the word is, and then icon, and you'll find a bunch of examples. Let's continue. You need two vector bursts. Bursts. Okay. What does that mean? Well, if you look online and you look that up, you'll see things like this. You'll see a bunch of other options that look like they're all bursting with different size bursts. That's what you need. Look those up, open them up, put them in your folder. They're better if they're black and white. That's why I chose this one before as one of the examples. Two calligraphy designs. What are we looking at there? Well, we're looking at stuff like this. When you look it up, you'll see a bunch of different examples. Not so much the letters, although that would be okay, but you want more like the design pieces, like what you see in here. And then an image of your main character, and I forgot one last thing. We're going to have newspaper print. If you can find something that relates to your main idea of your political poster, even better. So I would look that up, make a new folder, make a new tab, type in newspaper article on gun violence, if that was what your political statement was about. So any of these would work, right? Something about gun violence could be in the background in some way. So I'm going to grab this one. All right. So how do you start this whole project? Well, you're going to do this in Photoshop. When you get to Photoshop, you're going to go to File and New. Once you go to File and New, you're going to open up a page that is 11 by 17, which if you go to Print up at the top right here, click on Print, go to Tabloid, and then Create. This is your new page. So what do you have to bring into here? Well, let's grab all the different pieces that we need, and let's drag them in. So I'm going to grab this little piece of newspaper here. I'm going to drag that right in. I'm going to double click on that layer and call it newspaper. Then I'm going to go to the next one. Here's the burst. I'm going to take that burst, put that burst in there. Remember, we had wanted two different bursts, so if I can find another black and white one, even better. This one would be perfect, or this one I kind of like. Okay, so we have, now you can see the difference in size, and also I should name them. So I'm going to call this burst 1. Sorry. Burst 2. What else? I have these little calligraphy lines that I talked about before. I'm going to click, drag, and drop these in. Now I know that there's more than one on here, but we'll deal with that later. So we're going to call these Callig Designs. Spelling is crazy today. Okay, get rid of this one. What else do we need? Well, some flower designs we had set in our list, right? That was one of the things. flower silhouettes. So that's this kind of a thing. I want to hit the view image button. I want to take this piece, drag that in there. I'm going to do the same thing, maybe one more of these. I'll keep just one for now to make this go faster. Here's an icon that I could use. I'm going to drag that in. If it doesn't let you for some reason, you can hold Command Shift and the number 4, and it will make a selection of that, and it'll put it on your desktop so you could use it. So that just dropped it to my desktop right over here, and I can open that up with Photoshop. And then once it opens up, I can just pull it apart, take the move tool, move it in. Okay. Almost done. What else do we need? Like one on guns here. So I'm going to take this, drag this directly in. Close this up. And I'm going to take this image of the student protesting gun violence, and I'm going to drag that in. Okay, so how do we begin? What do we do? Now that we have all these layers in here with all these different pieces, make sure you label all of them. This one is the flower. Remember, you should have 2 flowers. We'll call this one flower 1 for now. This one is the what? Fist. Call it fist. What's this one? This is the gun. Call it gun. And this one is your main character, or we can call it girl. It's fine. Okay, so I'm going to hide everything first except for the girl. Then I'm going to take the girl, take the move tool, move her to the center a little bit, do Command T on my keyboard, edit, free transform, hold Shift and Option, make her larger, about that size, and I want you to do a cutout of her first. So, what kind of cutout? Well, you can use any of your tools that you know to try to cut her out, that's fine. Try a nice little selection here. For the purpose of the tutorial, I'm going to do it fast, but you should do a nice one. This is a tough one because she has all kinds of little flyaway hairs going on here. So we would need to do a really nice cutout where we zoom in and we fix all the little pieces with whatever tool that you'd like, and you can kind of add the pieces that you need, right? Subtract the pieces that you don't need, that sort of thing. All right. Once you get that done, again, this is not a perfect cutout, just for the purpose of the tutorial. Keep it kind of short. I'm trying to make this short so you guys don't sit there forever. Make all your selections. Once everything looks pretty good to you, you're going to right-click on this and do a layer via cut. And it's going to cut her out onto her own layer. Now, you can say I didn't do a great job, but it's fine for the tutorial. Now, you can move her around with the move tool, but what else are you going to do to her? Well, on this layer now, and you notice that the girl has the background here, we can get rid of that. And let's rename this new one girl instead. Okay. Then what we're going to do with this piece is we're going to do a few different little steps here where the filters are. First, we're going to go to Filter Gallery, and then we're going to go to where it says Paint Daubs here, inside of the Artistic folder, Paint Daubs, and we're going to set it to about an 8 for the brush size and sharpness 0, and hit OK. So if you zoom in, you'll see a little difference was done to it. It looks like it was painted a little bit. Then we're going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and we're going to blur just a little bit, like 3 pixels. Then we're going to go to Image, Adjustments, and Posterize. Now when this comes up, you are going to want to decide what the number you want is. Now obviously if I put it at a 1, you can see how it distorts the face. If I go to 2, you can see the change, or 3, or 4, or 5, or 6, 7. So somewhere in the low range. I think the 4s are usually a little bit better for this. And you can sort of see what's beginning to happen there. Now, one step that you must do to this is we want to smooth things out. If you look at his original work, you see how smooth the lines are on the faces, right? So we want the same sort of a thing when we do ours. So we're going to take the brush tool, use a round brush at 100% hardness, choose a color using the little eyedropper tool here. So for example, if I take this pink color, go back to the brush, stay on the girl layer, and if I start to brush along the edge of this, I can sort of smooth it out. Doesn't have to be as detailed as what the original looked like. I'm trying on purpose to smooth out those lines. If you get any of these where there's little pieces like this, you can just use the eyedropper, grab the gray, go back to your brush, and just fill that with gray instead. So we want these nice kind of curvy pieces like you see here. That's the longest part of the project, where you're literally grabbing these pieces, finding the eyedropper, covering stuff up, trying to make these pieces look a little bit more rounded. So what am I talking about here? I'll do it one more time. I could kind of round this out a little bit. It's just to kind of help round out the pieces, make them look round. And you might not need all these details. Like I could get away with not having that little piece if I don't want it. Make sure everything is round on the edges. All right, as much as you can. It's going to really improve the way that it looks and how it sort of matches up to his true style. All right, now once you have that you're going to set aside. In video part 2, we're going to see how we can now do the background as well.